Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I so appreciate you taking the time to check out my channel, and I hope you like what you see. I'd love to know more about you and your stitching journey if you'd like to share. And if you're a returning stitching friend, you know how much I appreciate each and every one of you. There are so many videos out there, and I get it because my queue, I'll scroll of what my to watch is, and I'll see a video and say, oh, they put one out like 2 days ago, but it's already way behind because there's so many videos. So I get it. So thank you. Thank you very much for taking this time to hang out with me for a little while. And what you stitching? What you working on? Alrighty, so I have a lot to talk about today. I have 13 projects that I worked on. I have 2 starts and 2 finishes. Super excited. Wasn't really expecting that going into this week. I was expecting one, and then I got another completely unexpected one that I was influenced by somebody else. So I'll talk about that when I get going at that point. And I have one piece, again, influenced by watching Flosstube, to bring a piece out that has not seen any stitching time, I think, this year in 2024. So that's good. We're going to give it a little bit more of some stitchy love. Before I get going with starting all of those projects, I did want to remind you that the artist trading card swap deadline is approaching. You still have time. Today is May 17th. And the deadline is June 1st-ish. I mean, obviously, if you're a day or two past that, and I don't know what day of the week that is, so, I mean, that's fine. Our very first trading card came in the mail. Yay! So they are starting. It's super exciting. I love seeing everything you all create, and it is just every single time I see one, you blow me away with, and I'll say, oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, I didn't think of that. And if you've stitched something, but you are not sure how to fully finish it into the 2.5 by 3.5 trading card, if you go to my playlists, I have one that is artist trading cards. And there are 2 different videos where I showed every single card that came in for the fall swap back in October, and this year's winter swap. And I want to say those, I probably filmed that one in March. I don't remember the exact dates. So if you, or maybe February, I don't remember. If you would like to see just a ton of ideas, I go through and I show each and every card. And if I know how it was finished, I talk about it. Sometimes I'm blown away and I'm not really sure, but I do my best. So there are things to look at, and I do have other videos there that explain some of the supplies you might need, and feel free to ask if you want. And if you are part of the Facebook group and you have questions, I know several people who are members there. Stitching by the Shore, Laura, is my Facebook group. If you had a question about how to do something, I have been a little absent from Facebook recently. If you've been on the group, you may have noticed that. I'm hoping to be able to get back into the swing of things, but there are so many helpful people. And now, you know, they've done a few swaps and they have a few under their belt. And so I'm sure they would be happy to help and answer questions, as well as myself, if I see your posts. So feel free to ask if you are there. And if you're not, ask as in a comment or somewhere else, and that's fine too. Alrighty, so let's get going with some stitching. Yay! All right, so my very first one. Since I finished Wizard of Oz tree last week, I said, well, now I need to pull out and get going. You know, it's fun. It's a fun one. So I figured, let's get going. I'm not saying that this one's going to be finished next month, but, you know, I think it took me a year to do Oz and the Oz tree, because I was almost to the day a year. So we'll see what happens with Alice. Alice in Wonderland Tree by Tiny Modernist. This one's a recent one. I don't think it's that old, actually. Did it come out this year at market? It's 2024, so maybe it did. I saw this and I thought it was super cute. And then there's a stitch along. Yay! It's the hashtag Tiny Alice Sal, S-A-L, and it is hosted by Allison from Cross Stitch the Globe, and she should make sure I have oh, I do have, good. I have Fanny's Flosstube now. She finished hers. It is looks so cool. Go and check it out. And then Fanny from, make sure I get it right, Soul Stitchers, the two of them are hosting. Today is an awkward morning. I started my video. This is like the 5th try starting the video. The opening 2 minutes is always what kind of really gets me, but apparently the awkwardness is just gonna keep going. But Allison and Fanny had started this stitch along, and I think Soul Stitchers, I thought I saw on Instagram that they just filmed a new video, so I'm super excited. I think that might be number 3, maybe? I'll link down below with the information from the stitch along, but it's hashtag #TinyAliceSal. And here we are. That's where I am. So this is, let me fold this over so that I'm not tilting my head. This is 18 count Opal Blue Ice from To Dye For Fabrics. Now, I do always generally say To Dye For Fabrics is not dyeing fabric this year. I'm a little worried she's not gonna dye it anymore because I love her fabrics. But when she takes the year off, I don't know if she's not gonna want to come back. Now, do not confuse To Dye For Fabrics with Dyeing For Fabrics. Dyeing For Fabrics, and you'll see one of those fabrics later on, is still in business and dyeing fabrics and does a beautiful job. But I have a lot of To Dye For Fabrics, and I love the colors that she came up with. And this Opal Blue, I mean, look at how well white shows up on that. And it sparkles like you would not believe. I chose this fabric because I stitched Wizard of Oz on it. So I thought this would be really nice. And then I will make Alice and Oz a 2-page collection in the scrapbook. So this one, I have no idea. I already have some ideas of what I'm going to stitch next week. I do want to, there's a few pieces I haven't touched yet for my I Spy challenge. So I do want to get some more work going on the I Spy so I can get all 10 touched this month. So we'll see. This one was part of I Spy and it fulfilled the prompt something red. I did not bring my challenge book with me, so I don't have that with me to show all of them. But there we go. So fun. Now, let me see if I kept it. When you do Instagram, it doesn't necessarily, oh, it did. There is a new Instagram account. If you watch the Hathaway Stitchers, their newest video, Erin and Amity talked about how they got together with Alex and they created a new account on Instagram. It is called crossstitch_salander. And it's basically a calendar of stitch-alongs. And if you scroll through, they show pictures of all of them, and then if you click on one, it tells you start dates, end dates, if there is one, who's hosting, what the parameters are, so on and so forth. So it's a really cool resource. Really, just thank you to all 3 of them for doing this because it is amazing. And actually, I did find something that I'm going to focus on in June, and I'll talk about that just because I happened to see it this morning on the calendar. And it kind of made me pivot for next week what I'm going to do with one of my stitches, and then that'll be a June focus along with all my other stitching. So stay tuned on that. When I get to plans, I will talk about that. But what I'll do is I'll list them. Do I have that in my notes here? I don't. Let me put the Instagram calendar so that I know I'll give you the information in the description box below, and then you can go find it. And I would say if you like to do stitch-alongs, it's key. And if you are participating or hosting a stitch-along and you don't see it there, follow the directions if you want to have it added. I have a whole bunch that I'm hosting that I haven't even followed my own advice. I haven't reached out to them, but that's all right. That's okay. But yeah, amazing, amazing resource. Thank you to the 3 of you for putting that together and the work that's going to go into starting it and maintaining it. I really do appreciate that. Alrighty, so next, it's spring, right? Well, I think it's spring. It doesn't feel like spring here. I mean, it's cloudy today, and yeah, the ground's a little wet, so it must have rained a little bit. Again, we'll be lucky to be mid-60s. It's just been a yucky kind of spring. We're going to jump from cooler weathers to summer. I know it. But in theory, it's spring. And let me put, so this is the full piece. It is Season's Blessings 2 by Lila Studio. let's cover up summer. I already did that one. It's actually hanging up right now. So I have a few summer pieces hanging up on the hooks underneath my shelves. But if you do this, this is the last of the 4 seasons that I have not stitched. And my goal is to get it finished by the end of spring. And maybe it'll hang up all summer because it, you know, it's flowers and a little bird and who cares if it says spring. So there I am. This is 18 count Nantucket Sky by Fabrics by Stephanie. And I just love it. I think I'm looking at the summer one. I can't see close enough. I wear glasses. I still can't see. It's a blue, but I'm not sure it's Nantucket Sky off the top of my head. I can't tell from this distance. But I love how the colors pop. So the bird is completely done. That was my goal for this week, was to get the bird done. And then I got a little bit into the basket. These are pretty quick stitches. If you've not done them before, you know, they follow the same kind of formula where they have the outer borders, the words, and then a bird with something. And so, and they're not huge. I mean, no. Let me see if I can find the information for you. So spring is 62 by 71 and summer is 63 by 72. So essentially the same size. I am using all the called for DMC conversions. So for example, in spring, it's all Classic Colorworks. It looks like she uses Classic Colorworks for both of these. And then she gives DMC alternatives. And that's what I'm using. Now, if one of them didn't really work with the fabric, of course I would change it. But so far, I'm really liking these colors on the blue. I didn't plan on getting a finish this week with this because I had some other things. Well, one I definitely wanted to finish, and then I had the other one. But I have until June, 20th, 21st, whatever the first day of summer is this year. And so I completely am confident that I can get this one done before summer. And all 3 of the other ones have been finished exactly the same way. They're like ornament type things. And then I have felt kind of a felt border that you see. When I get to it, I'll show you them, and then I'll fully finish this one the exact same way. So I like how it looks. The hardest part is finding some felt that matches the way I want it. Okay, so let's go next. Next, I need to show you the digital version. Where are my photos? Okay, so if you are new, I'm so glad you're here. I rotate 4 large pieces every week. And so they each get a week's worth of work a month. And that way, and I try to give them at least 500 stitches each of those weeks. So at the end of the year, you know, 6,000 stitches or whatever, maybe more, because if they fit prompts, or sometimes they just, for whatever reason, get used. And so this week it was Spring Quaker, also by Lila Studio. Oh, I didn't even plan that. So this is what the original looks like. I know, I'm sure you've seen it. Lots of people have stitched it. It's beautiful. The first thing that caught my eye was the center. And I thought about actually just stitching the center. But I think I started this after I started summer. And so then I'm thinking, well, I'm going to do all 4 seasons, right? So I jumped in on this one. And first off, I wanted pink base fabric because I just thought that would be pretty. Because originally I was going to do the browns, and pink and brown is a great combination of colors. But as I was picking my colors, I really realized that I wanted something that was a bit more spring-like. Spring is kind of new growth, new birth. You know, your grass is growing. It's nice and green right now because we are getting lots of rain. The trees, all the leaves are on the trees. Everything is just these beautiful, bold colors of green. And so I changed all the browns to greens. So if you see there we go. That's all I've got stitched. So this is the whole piece. This is an 18 count, what is it? Rose hips from Under the Sea Fabrics. And as soon as I saw it, I said, yep, that's what I want to do. So in total, this is what it looks like. I have been done on this side, except for the bunny rabbit, because I'm debating on if I'm going to change the color on that or not. It's stitched in white, and I may do that, or I might do more of a grayish. I'm not really sure yet. But otherwise, that whole section is done. So I really focused more on this side. And what did I do? I've got all of the words done. I finished the border all the way across. Now I am just doing the X's. I'm not doing, I don't know what type of specialty stitch that is, but the X's also work if you want to do it. So I did all the X's. Now here, this was all stitched, but I stitched it in the called for black, and I had forgotten because that's what the words were in. I had forgotten that I found that the black was a little too stark. So in fact, that's where I put my brown, is in the words. So the words are all in brown, maybe like an 898. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure in the description box below, I do give some of my conversions. So if it's not there, feel free to ask. But so I picked all of that out. So I did actually surprisingly get my 500 stitches in, and also picked this out. Part of my 500 stitches was restitching it. And I used the same brown that I used in the words, and I love it so much more. It looks so much better than what the black did on this, especially with the color scheme of everything else. If the motifs had been in the brown, I understand why she did the black, but for me, this just works so much better. So that got picked out, got all stitched back in. I had one flower, so I think I did the other flower, and like I said, all this other stuff. It takes me quite some time to pick out stitches. I'm a very tight stitcher, so when it comes time to actually pull them out, it takes me extra, I feel. I don't know, because they are so tight, and of course I'm completely terrified of cutting into the fabric and tearing the fabric. I know there are ways to fix it, but I am not confident enough in my abilities to actually fix a hole. So I'd much rather not create one. So that's where we ended up with that part of it. And I'm feeling good. There is just, if I look at this, whoops. So we have the flower over here, and then we'll have the letter E, and then we work our way down. So that is pretty much, actually this, nope, there's one more, there'll be one more flower here. And when that flower is there, that designates the end. So I'm very close to having 3 of the 4 corners done. So there it is. Now I will talk about in plans, the next one in the rotation, I'll talk about how I'm going to change that for now, because I'm going to do something in June instead. So, and if you go to that calendar, there is a stitch along for this one. So just look for the picture and click it on, and you will get the information. So if you'd like to join in on it, I'm sure they'd love to have you. Alrighty, let's go to my next piece here. All right, so the next one is the full coverage that I worked on this week. So my full coverage stitching, how I do it seems to, every time you turn around, I kind of change my mind on how I'm stitching it. For this year, what I've started to do, I think I started it in February, is pick one piece that will be a focus for the month, and I'll do 100 stitches a day, so that by the end of the month, you know, essentially it gets 3,000 stitches. And then besides that, I will pick another piece and I will work on it until I get 1,000 stitches, and then rotate to another one. I was doing 10 days, or at least a minimum of 1,000, but I was finding that I could do, depending, because I've been doing my full coverage stitching later at night, I could do 1,000 in maybe less than 10 days. So why not rotate another one so that more of them get touched? So you didn't even see this one this week. It is already done with its 1,000 stitches. And where is it? No, here it is. And it is Laslo Koday #1, and it is charted by Stitches So Beautiful, and Laslo Koday is the artist. I want to say there's probably at least 14 or 15 of his works on Stitches So Beautiful charted at this point. They're really kind of cool. I don't know. There's some that have like pigs in trees, and this one has, looks like a little, I mean, sort of a dog, sort of a cat. You know, they're just whimsical, different. Some of them are winter scenes. This one, the bright colors really jumped out at me, and I said, oh, I want to stitch this. I'm stitching this actually, and I'm going to make sure I write down for my notes. Amy from Renewing Stitches. Hi, Amy. Also started this one. I think we started it. We were Zooming together, I think, and we started it together. Did we? Amy, is that true? I don't know. My memory is like a sieve now. Oh, well. I know we're stitching it. I know Amy's stitching it as well. And I'll link Amy below if you'd like to watch her. She's lovely to watch. All right. 18 count white aida, 2 strands over 1 full cross. And I got in 1,113 stitches this week. And this is as far over as I've gone. As you can see, if you are new, I do really like to confirm my counting abilities because I've messed up a few times, and I like to go to 3 corners of my piece a lot of times if they're bigger pieces. And so I couldn't decide what to do, to be honest with you. This is a large piece. Let me show you all the fabric. This is probably one of my largest ones. So you can see I didn't iron the bottom part. I was like, you're not going to see that. And then I go and show it to you. So the across border would be a lot easier than the down border, to be honest with you. We'll see what happens. But I kind of was, again, all over the place. Now that I'm in Pattern Keeper, it is what I keep going back now as I add these pieces into Pattern Keeper and starting to fill in. So you can see how the tree still has quite a bit of spots inside. I'm starting now to pick colors and fill that in. And then there was quite a bit over here. I went over this way for a little bit. So I jumped all over, which I generally do on full coverage. You will never see, there's some people that are so nice and neat and they've got each section done, and that will never be me. I can almost guarantee it. Although you never know, right? Don't hairdressers say every 7 years your hair kind of changes? So maybe my stitching organizational ideas will change every 7 years. I don't know. But for now, organized chaos is what I like to think of. And I just go in every direction and stitch on a little of everything. It's hard to see here, but I have come down there. It's just more of I don't know what that is. Oh, underneath the tree, it's kind of like a lighter purple as you're going into it. And then I'm going to get into more oranges and reds for part of the hill. So that'll be fun. I'm excited to maybe I'll do that next time I work on this so I can get some more colors in. And I'm almost done around the moon. There's a few little stray stitches that I haven't gone and done yet. Yeah, so Laslo will go away right now. I'm so tempted. There's several other Laslo pieces that I would love to stitch, but really, I mean, this thing is huge. So I need to temper my expectations. I have a few of them favorited. Who knows, next time Stitch is So Beautiful has a sale, there's the possibility a few may jump into my cart. But, you know, for those of you who do full coverage, you know that half of it is collecting the full coverage pieces that we may or may not ever stitch. Okay, next. Speaking of Hathaway Stitchers, they are hosting a secret stitch, and it is starting to wind down, but I know people who have just started, and you know what, if you're not done by May 31st, so what? No biggie. If you want to join along though, it's super fun. This is Garden of Zig, and it is from Ink Circles. So they picked this one somewhere around March 1st, if I remember correctly, and basically said, if you want to join us, stitch this piece. Do not use anything called for. Not the called for fabric, not the called for floss, and don't show it to anybody. That's the hardest part, right? You know, as I've been working on it, I have been doing, because I don't trust myself. And I know some people are kind of adapting it, and that's awesome. If you look at this and you say, ooh, I just want to stitch one part of it, go for it. Some of these flowers I think are so cool and neat that you could stitch them on their own, and they could be pillows, or if you wanted like a funky flower tree, you could make them into little ornaments. There's so many possibilities with this. I am aiming to fully finish this one and have it all of the stitches in. Are you ready? I have to check. I'm at 94%. Yay! I am less than 500 stitches from finishing. The entire piece has 7,100 stitches. So, you know, I mean, it's not humongous, but I've been doing 100 stitches a day, every day. Pretty much, I think I missed one day once I started doing the 100 a day kind of thing. Sometimes I go a little bit longer, but it kind of works out like timing wise. And then I can, you know me, I like to work on 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces in a day. That's just, I don't know. I think it's the paper crafter in me. You know, I would work on all sorts of things and just kind of get different things accomplished. And so that's what I like to do, is just jump around and say hello to a lot of different projects. So I've been keeping that pretty hardcore, 100 stitches a day-ish, you know, maybe a little bit more, 120, if depending on, I mean, I go through a strand. It's not like I hit 100 and then stop. Once I get to maybe a couple hundred left, we'll see. But I mean, it's less than 500 stitches. We have 7 days till next week. So I do not see why next week I can't tell you I have a finish. Now I can't show you that finish. Aaron and Amity briefly touched upon thinking about how we're going to do the big reveal of everybody's stitches in their last video. So when they know more and I know more, I will share with you. I'm super excited to share it with you. I like what I did. I am very, very happy with what I did, and I cannot wait, because I know everybody's is going to look so different. I can't wait to see what other people have done. And I've been stitching it and I think, oh, I could do this, or oh, I could do that. So, you know, maybe there'll be bits and pieces of it you see later on again. Now, what I have been doing for May is I jumped on that Manning May stitch along. And again, I'll put the information below about the stitch along. Kim the Stitcher, the Seattle Stitcher, the Museum Stitcher, and Marjorie Maid, I believe that's the 4, are hosting a Manning Maysal. It's their 2nd year. And so I said, well, I wanted to do Carolyn Manning's this May anyway, so yay. And what I'm doing is I'm taking part of their Shooting Star collection. I'm stitching one of the smalls to correspond with birthstones of family members, and then those are going to be made into ornaments for Christmas. And this week, it was Peridot. Now, the most ridiculous part is I try to figure out which one I actually chose. Oh, no. I'm not sure. I think it's either, well, it's either this one or this. No, I don't think it was this one, because I don't think I wanted the X. It's probably this one. You know, right now all the Carolyn Mannings will look alike because I just started it. And so I think I did about 300 stitches. They are all being stitched on a 20 count fabric. And I chose kind of, instead of white, I chose kind of a grayish. So this is 20 count stone from Fiber on a Whim. I'm doing obviously the DMCs, and because that's what it's charted in. And I'm doing 1 strand. When I started the last week's one, I did briefly try 2 strands, and much as I love my puffy stitches, it was a little bit too tight on this fabric. So there's Peridot. That started. Hey. So I have until December, right? I think when I finish them, I'm going to finish them really tight so that all you can see, hopefully, if I can figure out how to do it right, is the actual square. Making it on 20 count, it's still a good size, probably similar to like a 4x4. So it'll be a good size ornament, but you know, I wasn't going to go any lower yet, especially for something like this, because I knew I wanted to do multiple pieces. It was a bit much pressure. And then I said, well, if I'm going to stitch on Peridot, then I'm going to pull out emerald. So these are you get all 5 of these. And I picked out an emerald one. And again, I'm not really sure which one. They're all so pretty. That's the thing. I would love to stitch all of them at some point. But I mean, what a great deal. And I think in May, Carolyn Manning is having a sale. So even better if you've been thinking about a Manning. I got some more stitches into this one. So that's where emerald is at this point. And I did figure out how they needed to go into Pattern Keeper. I was a bit confused in the beginning. I don't know if you can see. There is more of that lighter green there. And you'll be able to see it once I have the other colors in. And like I said, it's going to be tight. But against this stone right now, it kind of blends in. But that's okay. I'm not really worried about it. It'll show in the end. I ended up buying 2 pieces of this because I do want to do, my plan is 5 birthstones, and I wasn't sure what I could fit on one of these. This is just from 123 Stitch, and this is, you know, the piece I got. So I ended up buying a second piece of this, and of course I started on that one as well. So now I only have the 2 pieces. So the one I'm starting this week, I'm going to just have to figure out where. I might just start it on another corner. Because, you know, if I cut out the corners, then whatever's left in the middle, I can use for something else. If nothing else, it'd be great for trading cards. Alrighty. So those are my 2 Carolyn Mannings, the ornaments that I'm looking, well, they're the Shooting Star jewel stones, birthstones. She calls it Shooting Star Collection. I'm calling it with birthstones because obviously there's more to just than the birthstones, but I just love that idea. And, you know, 2 years now I've stitched ornaments for the Christmas tree. They're not necessarily always Christmassy. Connor last year got a plant because Connor is very much into growing plants and all of that. So I'm hoping, you know, it somehow or other relates to whoever I'm stitching for. So this way there is a connection. Doesn't necessarily have to be a Christmas connection. Alrighty, next. This one is my full coverage focus for the month. And it is called Bottled Beauty. And it is from Cross Stitch for Everyone. And the artwork was created by Fun Digital. My goal is to get 3,000 stitches on this month. And now this one, much smaller piece. Look at this. This is the fabric. That's it. I bet you some of the samplers that some of you all stitch are probably bigger than this will be. This is where I am with it. Again, it is 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1, full cross. And it looks really neat. I have been spending my time really filling in all of the white spots. So this one is a kind of neat stitch where it'll take a color, and let me see if I have any open. So you see here how you've got openings, and then within those holes, there'll be either 1 or 2 other colors. So some of these 3 colors are creating this look, but you can follow a strand easily. I could do 100 stitches of something on a strand, and, you know, with Pattern Keeper, again, I just, you know, whatever's the highlighted, I stitch and I go. And it's so easy. And then what I've been doing is going back and filling in. I'm not purposely, this one is definitely is probably the most filled in of any of my full coverages, but I think part of it is in the charting where, you know, you don't have, every once in a while, like over here, there is a couple of stitches that are some other random color, but for the most part, she doesn't throw in Cross Stitch for Everyone. Is this my first from her? I have some more of her charts. I'm not sure I've started any of them, but it's not like there's just random confetti everywhere. Do you know what I mean? So it's been nice. And that way it's definitely helped me kind of fill in a bit more. I am on track to still get my 100 stitches a day. So we're doing good on that. And, you know, I mean, short of some odd reason, we should be good to go by the end of the month and get those 3,000 stitches in. Next, did I take a picture of this? No, it comes from a book, but I do want to put it on my list I have a list of all of my works in progress on a photo folder on my iPad. So it's nice and easy to flip through. And if I'm looking here, I don't see it. So on Earth Day, I pulled out my cross stitch for the Earth book, and this is Emma Congdon, Stitchovia, and I decided I wanted to stitch. It was a tough choice. I ended up going with this one, and she doesn't have titles on them. I'm calling it Difference You Make. Never underestimate the difference you make. Every little bit helps, right? I just love I love Emma Congdon's colors, and they're just so fun and vibrant. This is smaller, actually, than I thought, which is kind of nice. There was another one. I'm not going to flip through at this point, that I was debating on, but it was larger. And I decided, I have a lot of projects right now. Let's go with the smaller. And there we go. That's where it is. Now this, remember I talked about earlier to dye for fabric versus dyeing for cross stitch. This is dyeing for cross stitch. And it's 18 count fresh cut light. So Kathy has on several of her colors a light, medium, dark, and you can choose what you want. And I thought, well, this is an earth piece. Green is awesome. The colors that are chosen for this piece are nice and bright, and I think go really nice with the green. I want to say we had a surprise visit from Meg this weekend. I think I pulled it out because the book was a Christmas gift last year from Megan. So I said, well, then I have to stitch on this. So that's where I am. And I got all of the words done, underneath done. So see these trees here, they get repeated there, and that's the width. That's it. And then we work our way down. So I think I've got some counting in store for me, but if I don't feel like counting, I'll work under here. But if I want to just get myself moving, get that corner, and then just work my way down, then that's what we'll probably do. So this one will come out periodically. I think there's a lot of prompts that could work for in I Spy. I'm currently working on, in my mind, for the June prompts. They are not situated and set yet, so give me probably sometime around Memorial Day-ish, I'll have the June prompts for you. Alrighty, so now I have 2 back-to-back finishes to show. I don't even need to show the picture because it is done. This one was a plan, well, was as much planned as possible, right? I really was pushing for a finish, and I got it. This is Nautical Tier. It's Erin Elizabeth Designs. You know how she has the whole tier set. They're so tiny and cute, although there's a lot of stitches packed in these little tiny cute pieces. This is 18 count Compelling Conscious from Those Missing Stitches. And there we go. I kept all the colors called for. They popped and did nicely on this fabric. Now, what didn't I do? I did not do the back stitching on the lighthouse. I liked it the way it was. I didn't feel like it needed those lines, so I kept it. And then I have a goof here or there, but you would never know, so I'm not going to tell you. Otherwise, everything is done. This one will probably just go in the scrapbook. I mean, I have very, very, very limited room. If I'm going to finish one of my kind of nautical beachy pieces, it's going to be the Summer at the Shore from, what's that, Cottage Garden with the seagull. I'd finish that one. I was thinking of maybe a little frame and sticking it right above the light when you come into this craft area. Now my other finish, I have the piece to show you. This one, this was not on my radar this week. And then I was watching Jen's fiber web. Sorry, Jen. I was watching her video and she was stitching this. And I said, well, this was kind of like that little nudge, because I told you, nudge me in order to get this one done, right? It's Cinnamon Stars. She pulled out Cinnamon Stars. It was almost like fate. I had to do some stitching on it. So I pulled out Cinnamon Stars and she's done. She is done. This is 18 count Honey Amber by Fabrics by Stephanie. I very purposely have this color chosen because it's also what I stitched Betsy's Autumn on. Actually, I think I started this one first. Started Betsy second, but finished Betsy before this one. I know, and I don't think I have it in here. So this one, this was a bag made for me by Bree. Bree no longer has a floss tube, which I'm exceedingly sad about. And now, does anybody else do this? So the majority of my pieces, because I have over 80, are in my Ziploc bags. I put my Ziploc bag in my project bag. This shows you how not project bag experienced I am. I'm looking to see, no. And she made me the floss thing for it too. I don't know what they're called. Again, I'm so low tech, right? I mean, Ziploc bags. But, oh, it's Roxy Floss Co. And I looked, I don't think in the description I did put it. I need to look in my notebook. I'll put my Ziploc bag back in my project bag. I need to look in my notebook of projects because I'm hoping I wrote it down because I would like to share. The only thing I did change color-wise is the pumpkins. I used a Roxy Floss Co. floss for it because if you see the pumpkins here, I mean, they're charted in variegated flosses, but the variegated, the DMC, some of the colors were brownish, and I just wasn't loving it. And I wanted a more bright, vibrant pumpkins. Now, the other thing, if you see here, there's a little S there. You can put your initial in. If you were new, you wouldn't have been with me because this was ages ago that I did this. I actually stitched the S because I thought it was just some sort of swirl. I wasn't really paying attention until it was done. So I had to pick that out. And I didn't. I mean, you've got other spaces. I really don't think anybody, I thought about putting another small piece here, but you don't need it. In my mind, you know I'm a minimalist. So this works fine for me. So this one is most definitely, Betsy's Autumn got scrapbooked ages ago. If you had watched my scrapbook flip through in December, you would have seen it. I'm hoping I have all the supplies so this can be the exact same. So then the collection is very cohesive. They're the same sort of, they're the same designer, same sort of theme, on the same fabric, and that would make it really nice. So fingers crossed I can find all of that. So Jen from Jen's Fiber Web influenced that stitch and that finish. Thank you, Jen. I needed it because I needed to get that finished. I know it. That was, I wrote down, it was started on May 1st of 2021. So it is 3 years now hanging around, and that is not a 3-year project. That is a project. That is a project that should be done before 3 years are up. So I'm super glad to get it done. So there I did. I was watching Jen, got influenced on that one. Then when I was watching Hathaway Stitchers, Erin had a new start. She pulls it out. Well, I said, well, I've got this piece too, and I haven't stitched on it in 2024 at all. So I need to pull it out. And this is Dandelions from Owl Forest Embroidery. I am using the DMCs, and I'm going to use all of the DMCs called for. The one that's a little iffy, do you see where there's like a brown that kind of changes colors? It's a little bit brighter on the DMC choice. But I think in the end, because it's used sparingly, I think it'll be fine. So I stitched it in to see what it would look like, and I think I'm okay with it. So there I am. There's not a lot of colors in this. There's about 7. Now, obviously, with the Owl Forest threads, some of those flowers look like 2 colors, and they're not because of how variegated the Owl Forest threads are. But I've never been afraid of non-variegation. I like solid colors, to be honest with you. So even when I use variegated thread, I think you've noticed by now, I finagle it so it's not highly variegated. So I like this. I like this quite a bit. This, if you were with me, you'll remember, this is the 3rd start. I tried it on 3 different fabrics before I decided on this one. I just couldn't settle on one. This is Twilight Mist 18 count, and this is from To Die For Fabrics. And I got a good chunk done. This whole segment over here. Again, I wanted to get that color in, and I got it in here as well. I had stitched it there, and then I wanted to see a little bit more of it. For now, I'm going to keep it in. The big center block is also that color, but then there's flowers. I want to see on each corner of that block, you're going to see there's purple flowers. So I'd like to do a little bit of that in the block and see. I'm reserving the right to maybe change it to something that's a little bit browner. This one is a little bit not. But we'll see. I think what I'll do is I'll do no more brown, and I'll do some of the other surrounding colors and really kind of get a feel. If I have to pull this out, I don't want to pull out any more than that. So thank you, Erin, for starting this, and it got me in gear to get this some work this year. And I'm sure it'll get some more work done. Like I said, there's not a lot of colors. I mean, there's little bits and pieces to it. So there's some color changing, but for the most part, it's not too bad. And so there was no reason why it hadn't been pulled out. Maybe what I'll do is I'll look for a couple I Spy challenges or acrostics or something along those lines and see if I can pull it into some of my challenges, because then we know it'll get some stitching. It's not going to get a finish this year. I don't remember what my goal was when I set my WIP parade, what I had placed a goal on for that. Maybe like to get the top section done. I don't really remember. All right, I have one more piece, and it is a new start. And it had to be started yesterday. There's a reason. It's a historical reason, frankly. You'll laugh at me because this isn't really a historical event. It's just in my lifetime, it just shaped, you know, it was part of my teenage years. And so I thought that how fun to start it on that, the kind of, all right, let's just talk about it. It is Talk to Me Goose from Dirty Annie. Dirty Annie's. Now, the reason why it had to be started yesterday, May 16th, was in 1986, on May 16th, the entire U.S. release of the original Top Gun came out. It was originally released in New York on May 12th. Yes, I did look this up. I don't know all this off the top of my head, but May 16th was the official release all over. I was a junior, finishing up my junior year in high school. I'm an October birthday, so I would have been late. I probably was I 16? Yes. Some juniors would have already turned 17, right? So I was 16 at the time. Well, 1986. Yeah, I was 16. I hadn't turned 17 yet. And we were coming up the end of junior year. All of us at that age in high school, we knew Tom Cruise from Risky Business and all, you know, a few other movies he'd been in. So, you know, I am almost sure opening weekend, I probably was at the original Top Gun premiere. Back then, at the expensive movie theaters, movies were about $5. Yeah. And then there was like kind of a corner small theater that would get, I think it was two theaters, and it was the 99-cent. The Elmwood Theater in West Hartford was 99 cents for a movie. So we saw this movie that summer multiple times, because really, what else could you do for $1? You know, you go out and watch a movie for $1. I know, so I started it yesterday. I had car stitching to do, and I did part of this for car stitching. And I looked on Spotify, and the original soundtrack was there, which I know pretty much every song. So I put on the original soundtrack, and I started stitching and sang along. And that's where I got. I've got the outline of the glasses. This will be a very fast stitch. I mean, it's, what is it? 61 by 61. Now all I have to do for these is fill in, so that'll be really easy. And I mean, the words will go easy and everything else. So I am using, make sure I get it right, Planetarium from Roxy Floss. So again, it's a variegated, but I use variegated. It's a little different than other people. We'll see what happens. I mean, this is just an outline. When I go to fill in, we'll see how the variegation looks. But this is 18 count sensitive Sylvie from Those Missing Stitches. Can I just stop and rave about Lynn's dyeing choices for fabrics is phenomenal. She picks amazing colors. You know that Darling David is a favorite of mine. And this one, oh, it's look at that. Now, obviously in real life, it's not quite that stark, but just gorgeous. So I wanted something that was kind of blue. I mean, my backup would have been probably Nantucket Sky, but I wanted, this one was a little bit bluer. And then Planetarium is kind of a bluish floss. So we've got kind of that darkish blue on the lighter blue. And I think it's going to look fantastic. And last night, Mo and I watched Top Gun Maverick because, you know, I needed to complete the whole Top Gun theme. Since I'd already stitched on this, I didn't stitch on it while I was watching the movie. Maybe I'll plop on the original at some point and I'll do some more stitching on this. I can tell you everything. Are there any more besides Talk to Me Goose? I know there's so many great lines in the original movie. Does anybody know if there's any other stitches? If I could chart things, I would chart a whole bunch and I would have a whole scrapbook page of Top Gun sayings because we knew them all. We knew that movie inside and out by senior year. So this one had to get started yesterday. It's a fun little piece of my high school teenage years history and gives me a little chuckle when I stitch on that. So that was Talk to Me Goose. And if you've seen Top Gun Maverick but you've never seen the original, it's very cool to watch them one versus the other. I know all the lines in the original Top Gun, so I can't tell you how many kind of little lines and homages they do to the original. There's so many different parts of the movie that, maybe it's something that Tom Cruise does, his character Maverick does, or some things that are said when they're flying or this or that. They are exactly in some way or other what was said in the original. So it's really kind of neat how if you've seen one, you know it as well as I do, you pick up where they are right away. But we introduced the kids to Top Gun when Maverick came, where we could stream it, and we did like a whole marathon so they could see, really kind of back to back the whole progression. It's a fun thing to do. So if you have a couple hours and you have Paramount, you can stream them. Alrighty, that's my stitching. Yay! Yeah, I got some good progress. Excited about the starts. Talk to Me Goose will be finished by the end of the summer. That's a very quick stitch. I'm not sure I'm gonna, when I'm gonna work on it or focus on it, but Peridot, obviously, that'll be finished by, I'm giving myself that deadline. It's got to be done for Christmas. So those two starts should be 2024 finishes, which is really kind of neat. I actually, with the two finishes, let me see in my book. I have my book right here. With Cinnamon Stars and Nautical Tear, I have 20 finishes for 2024, and that includes trading cards and so on and so forth. And that's just stitching finishes. Full finishes is a different list. And then with Talk to Me Goose, I am at 31 starts. So yes, I'm starting more than I'm finishing. So yes, next year's Whip Parade will probably be longer than this year's, but that's okay. If they just sit there, they don't get done. And I loved them for a reason. So we're going to stitch them. And that's just that. Alrighty, so what are my plans? I am continuing with Manning May, and I will start a new one this week. And then, I don't know, if I look in I'm looking in my fabric bin there. Anything else set for May? I'm not sure I really have much else set for May. There was another one I wanted to do, potentially, the Quaker either whale or flamingo. But I may hold off on those, and those may be for next year. I'm looking ahead to the summer, though, so I thought maybe it'd be fun just to share a few things if you wanted to join along with me. I know that and a couple of them people have reached out that are going to stitch them with me. I think this one's going to get started in June. Chris and I are going to do this one, and this is Wings of Change by Silver Creek Samplers. I love the saying, "It is the butterfly is proof that you in darkness can be transformed too." I really, really like that one. The other one in June that I did want to start, because I think you kind of know by now, I end each video reminding each and every one of you that you matter and that you are important. That Yasmin's made with love. It's called The Uniqueness of Others, and the words are, diversity is embracing the uniqueness of others. And I truly, truly believe that. Each and every one of you, your uniqueness is what makes you you, and you are important because of that. So I really want to stitch this. I've seen Angie from 1823. Is it 1823 or 1824? It's Angie and Sally. I think it's 1823. Where's my book so I can write them down? their floss tube. Angie has been stitching that and stitching this, and she did it on a bright yellow, and I love how it looks. I'm not sure I may go as bright as Angie, but I am really inspired by her. So I want to pull out my fabrics. I don't have a fabric yet on that one, so I need to check that and see what I'm going to do. So if you'd like to join me in that one, let me know. I don't have hashtags for any of these things. We can figure that out as it comes. So butterfly in June. Chris, did we decide June? Let's go for it in June. I know you're probably, I don't have anything kitted up for it yet. I think you do. So we'll do it in June. And then I definitely want to do uniqueness of others in June. I think that's important. And then in July, if you watched my flip through, you know I said I was going to start this on July 4th. This is Land That I Love. It's a full coverage piece in the, this is summer, right? Summer 2024 cross stitch, just cross stitch magazine. And I know several other people are going to join me in stitching this as well. Again, no hashtag, but if you'd like to join me, July 4th, 4th of July is when I'm going to start that. And then, where's my iPad? I have so much stuff here. Let me see what folder I put it in. I don't think I put it in that folder. I think it's in this folder. Maybe not. Oh, it should be in this folder. Oh gosh. There was, and it's not in my list of whips because it's not a whip yet. Sunflower sunflower. Let me Google it real quick. I thought I had gotten sunflower stitches. I go through, I try to make sure I have everything already all set. And let me see, I wanted all charts, but it's a Rose Con piece. And I don't know if it'll be in the front or if I need to. You know what? Let's go by artist. Charts by artist. Where's Rose Con? There we go. This is called Dance at Nightfall. And one of you who watches Beth reached out to me and said, do you want to stitch this? I said, absolutely. Why not start another full coverage? I'm actually going to UFO one. And as I get to mid-year, I don't know if I'm going to do a mid-year whip parade. I haven't figured that out. I'll talk to you all about that as we get closer. I mean, we're only in the middle of May. But I do want to, there's two things that I know for sure I am taking out of my rotation. And both of them are for reasons of fabric, to be honest with you. And one of them is a full coverage. So then why not just start another one? And this one here is, it's the artwork is by Rose Con and it is charted by Sunflower Stitches. So I think, Beth, we talked about summer. So July, August, which I don't know, whichever one is better for you. I know I have plenty of 18 count white fabric ready to go. What's the size on this one? It's 350 by 372. So 18 count is 19 by 20 inches. That's not too bad. If you'd like to join Beth and I with this one, again, I don't know a hashtag. This is actually, if you follow Rose Con on Instagram, she talks about how she very rarely does like fan art, but this is actually a bit of fan art. And I don't know if you can tell, night sky, night court, you can guess where it's from. So that's what it reminds me of as well. So that'll be fun. So if you'd like to join, those are the 4 that I was looking at that I said I would like to start this summer. 2 June, at least 1 July, if not 2 July. And then in June, so I was looking at this morning Instagram, and the cross stitch calendar came up, the Sal calendar, and one of them was hashtag June Dog, and it's actually to stitch on a long dog sampler in the month of June. So next week's rotation of pieces should have been fish and chips. Well, I'm thinking I'm going to skip that this month or this week. It's already gotten some work in May because I accidentally put in some stitches. I messed up my rotation. So that's going to be a June focus, I think. So maybe instead of a full coverage piece, 100 stitches a day, I will stitch on that 100 stitches a day. give or take. And let's see through the month of June. Yeah, you know what? I hadn't picked one for June for full coverage, so that's what I'm going to do. So Fish and Chips in June is going to get a daily 100 focus. Anybody else want to join me in Fish and Chips? If you go to, or any other, obviously, if you go to the Instagram account, you will see the information about the stitch along, and it is #JuneDog. So I am on board. If I take that out of my rotation, and I don't know, I had to write down, it's 4 pieces. You'd think I'd remember. So Spring Quaker should have been Fish and Chips. So next would be Summer Quaker. So maybe I'll pull out Summer Quaker for next week, which is a stitch along that I myself and Beth the Steadfast Stitcher host, as well as I think Samantha the Huga Stitcher also has a stitch along with that. So there's a couple of choices there. So maybe you'll see that next week. So those are kind of the plans going on. Summer Quaker, another Carolyn Manning, and then I am looking ahead. In theory, I'm kitting ahead, but in reality, I really kit like the Talk to Me Goose. I decided the fabric yesterday morning. Decided fabric and floss yesterday morning. That's really what I do. I gotta be honest. There is really not a lot of. Sometimes if I know, then I know. But a lot of times I really have no clue. So, you know, we just wing it. And that's it for plans at the moment. Oh, and I need to start fully finishing. I have 2 trading cards that need to be fully finished. You can see that one right there is done. But I need to fully finish 2 more. And I don't know, at the moment I'm not stitching anymore. If I see a cute summer piece, maybe I'll jump on that too. All right, so that's that. Those are my plans. Shopping, not a lot. So we're good. This video, we might come in at like an hour or 10. I only have one thing for shopping. If you have not gotten your, this was, what are we in, May? So this was probably the April Under the Sea Fabrics fabric of the month. So if you don't want to see it, look away. I get 18 count. It's called Chamomile. And very, oh, there's fuzz. I always worry when there's dark fuzz if I have some sort of pen mark that I accidentally got on it. That's what it looks like. Very versatile. All right, I'm going to put it down. I don't know what, generally Under the Sea Fabrics, she tells you ahead of, I mean, you're in the club kind of thing, right? So, but she does show you what it's going to be. I don't quite understand it because some people ask for different counts. I just go with my 18 count. I don't know how all of that works. If you're part of the club, you probably know better than me. I just pay the bill and wait for my 18 count to come in. But I don't remember what. She was a little backed up. I don't know if there was a fabric snafu for supplies. So this just came in, and usually she's sooner than that. And so I don't know if she has the May 1 dyed or not. We'll see. I don't mind. I'll know when I know. All right, so that's it for shopping. There are a couple dragon pieces. I've got this idea for, and they would have to be, you know, I'm stitching Celtic Dragon. That's too big for the scrapbook. It'll have to be probably framed. And I'm looking at a couple other pieces. I would love to see them all framed together with kind of a couple ideas about what I'm doing with them. So when I get them, I'll talk to you about that. But I haven't bought them. They're just sitting there in my favorites on Etsy. And every once in a while I look at it and then I say, oh, let me buy that. So, but that's it. Giveaways. We have fun giveaways. So this week's that I'm giving away and what next week's is kind of, it's the same company. It's the same theme. So, you know, I had bought from Stitchy Stuff on Etsy. And is it Stitch? It's actually stitchystuff.com. Okay. And when I did, I reached out about giveaways and she sent, how generous is she? 2 different hanks. One I picked and one I hadn't. This one I hadn't. She just threw it in there for giveaways. And so this past week, I said, let's give away this beautiful sage hank from Stitchy Stuff. I asked you to say the word cloud. And I need a piece of paper. You know what? I'll use the back of the envelope that the trading card came in. I looked and I did the little picker thing. And it's, now, if you can't read my writing, it's Nikill 65, Nikill 65. I realized afterwards those two L's kind of look like slashes. Mo hates when I do passwords in the password book because he can't read my writing. He's like, what is this? How is that a such and such? I'm like, it's just the way I write. So Nikill 65. Congratulations. You won the Sage Hank. So if you could get back to me with your address. I'm going to put your name right with this. So that was the Hank from this past week. Now this was the color that I had chosen because you know me. If you know me, you know that blue. She said pick any, and I picked blue. And it's called Elysian Ocean. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to ask you to say the word ocean, O-C-E-A-N, and I will choose a winner next video. And you, the winner, will receive this Hank. And it is 50 yards cotton floss. Elysian Ocean. And I am using Elven Wine for my arabesque, and I really like the feel of it. It's been nice stitching, really, really nice stitching with it. Now again, and I mean, if you look close, you can see the variegation. I am very much don't use it the way a lot of people do, but it is beautiful, and there is really nice variegation. When I show you arabesque, I might work on that this week. I'll show you how I use it, but I am really, really happy with so far the stitch that I am stitching her stuff with. So if you'd like to try it out and try to get a chance to win, say the word ocean, and I will pick a winner next week. I have a TV tray table that I put the stuff on, and I don't know, maybe because it's getting older, it squeaks now. I might have to. There's one here. I use two actually, one to the side of me. This one doesn't squeak, so I might have to switch them out so I don't bother you with that noise. But that's it. Look at that. 1 hour 6. This is like a record for me. That is my stitching. So if that's all you're here for, thank you so much for being here. And I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous week. And I hope you get some great stitching in. Life stuff. What's going on? So this past weekend was Mother's Day weekend. Megan texted us, was it Friday? I think it was Friday. And said that she might be able to pop on down from Philly. She wanted to see Connor because when Megan and Liz came the week before, Connor was not here yet from school. Connor was still in the midst of finals and stuff. And Megan really wanted to see Connor because it had been months. So Megan hopped in the car and came on down. She got here. She left, well, I say first thing for a 22-year-old Saturday morning. But did get here before noon on Saturday. I was just thrilled that we weren't expecting her to come. So it was really nice. I had both kids here this weekend, and she stayed until, I didn't want her leaving too late. She probably stayed until 5-ish on Sunday. Wanted her to drive while it was still light. You know, that whole, I'd rather you drive when it's not dark kind of thing. But anyway, it was a really lovely visit. We went out to dinner on Saturday night, the four of us. It was funny because I said, well, let's go out to dinner Saturday night because we knew Megan was going back anyway on Sunday. And this way I figured, oh, maybe it'll be a little less quiet because everybody will go out on Mother's Day. Well, what I didn't anticipate, so we decided we wanted Indian food. And there's a really, really great Indian restaurant right near the beach, right on the main avenue that leads down to the beach. And they have great vegan options. It's really, so everybody has something that they can choose from. I said, let's go early. Let's be there for 5. So, like we're the early birds and all that stuff. Well, we get down and it's not raining, but it's not a fabulous like beach day. I mean, it's maybe 60 degrees. The sun is sort of out, clouds are out. It's packed downtown. And I say, and we were just completely shocked. Where the restaurant is very close to the beach. Mo ended up dropping us off and having to park way, way, way back because it was the only spot. And he was like, I'm taking it. And then I'm just going to walk back to the restaurant. Well, what I didn't realize was it was high school prom on last Saturday night. And what they do is downtown Rehoboth, there is a bandstand and they bring in, bands, a lot of tribute bands or marching bands or those kind of bands in the summer every weekend. And they use the bandstands for other stuff as well. So what they were using it for was, I don't know how it worked out. We just caught it halfway through, but the kids were being announced. So, you know, whoever was, and I assume you could decide whether or not you wanted to be announced, and they would announce so-and-so and so-and-so, and they'd walk through the bandstand. And of course, parents and grandparents could take pictures and this and that. And then, so you had, and the local high school is huge. So there's a lot of kids, right? So you have all the kids, you have the parents, you have grandparents, you have this just milling of everything. And I said, oh, that's why it was packed downtown. But it was fun, because it's fun to see like what the styles were. Lots of beautiful fancy dresses. Because Megan was telling me, she's like, well, you know, the style is kind of like that Sunday brunch style dress. I don't know where maybe that's what college graduations are doing. I have no idea. She's going to a friend's graduation this weekend. So, but these were decked out. We saw a few of those kind of, you know, very pretty dresses that were more like a Sunday brunch kind of thing. But there was a lot of sequins, a lot of long dresses, a lot of very high slits. But, you know, hey, if you can do it, do it. Beautiful dresses. And, you know, everybody's all dressed up. And they're much smarter than me, because a lot of the girls had sneakers on. Very good idea. I wish I'd worn sneakers to my wedding, actually, thinking back now. But I'm sure we all just kicked off our shoes was probably what we did. But it was just so much fun to see all the young kids, and they're all excited and this, that. So this is pre-prom that they're doing this, and I don't know what else was pre-prom. And then a couple, you know, you had a couple of the limos or like the big old party bus things, and all the kids would pile in, and I assume they were going to prom. And then they had a school bus for the parents. And a couple parents are, oh, let's go get a drink. Let's go to the bar, because they know their kids now are just all set. So I have no idea if the school bus was going somewhere or if it was just taking them to wherever they would have parked. But it was fun. It was fun to see all that as well, because Mo had to walk back for the car and then come, because I didn't think I could, I didn't think with my hip I could walk that far. I would have otherwise, but I didn't think I could do it. So anyway, it was very lovely Saturday night. And then Sunday, I can't tell you, since my kids have been little, Mo always had them do pancakes, and I had breakfast in bed. And I said, this year we're going to change it up a little bit. Because really, breakfast in bed, in theory, is nice, but everybody's like staring at you while you're eating, and nobody else is eating, and this, that, and the other. And God bless Mo when the kids were little doing that, to be honest with you. But anyway, I said, there's now that the season has started, there's a food truck-ish kind of thing. And he does acai, well, he does bowls, and there's acai or dragon fruit, or there's a few different types. I said, I really, really want a bowl for Mother's Day breakfast as opposed to the pancakes. So we went down and we got bowls for breakfast, and it wasn't nice enough. I was hoping if it was nice enough, we'd go to the beach and sit down and eat them, but we just brought them back home. It was nice enough to sit in our porch, so we did do that. It would have been too windy and cold at the beach. So yeah, so I had a very lovely breakfast as well for Mother's Day, which was a lot of fun. So we kind of created maybe a new tradition of bowls for breakfast on Mother's Day rather than the pancakes in bed. So anyway, that was my weekend. It was really lovely. And yeah, and then this week, been quiet. Yesterday, I got some good car stitching in. Mo had his colonoscopy, and I had to sit and wait in the car. And I waited longer than I thought. Poor guy. Well, poor whoever it was. Unfortunately, apparently there was some emergency yesterday morning, and so I don't know how many rooms they do colonoscopies. There might just be one. You know, there was somebody that had some sort of emergency surgery. Hope they're okay. And so all of the colonoscopies got pushed way back. So we got there at 11:30. Mo was slated to get there at 11:30, probably to go in at noon. He went in at about 1:45. So you can see. And about 2:15 was when they called me because you're not allowed in the building. It's just the person doing it. So you sit out in your car or whatever. They call you, you drive up, they walk them out to the car. You have to sign that they're not driving home. You know the whole bit. And so I got good car stitching yesterday. I worked on Top Gun for a certain bit, and then I pulled out a few other things that would be good for the car. So you'll see those next week. I had at 13 projects. I was like, that's it. That's all I'm showing this week. So what I stitched on yesterday, I'll work on some more this week. And so hopefully I get some good progress, and I'll show you that next video. Luckily it wasn't cold and it wasn't raining, so I could have the windows open. It was kind of cloudy, but you could tell the sun was trying to come through. I did put sunscreen on, and I'm glad I did, even though I was sitting in the car, because I feel like I would have gotten burnt. And I had the windows open because there was a breeze. It was a little stuffy, but you know, it worked fine. I was able to get some stitching in, and that was my morning into the afternoon. Because, you know, in the morning, you know, you're waiting around. He has to wait until it's time to go, and so on and so forth. And at that point, you know, you're just hungry because you haven't eaten for 2 days, and you know the whole bit. So, but luckily that's all done. Everything looks great. So, we're good for 5 years. Yay. And that's, yeah, I don't know what else is going to be planned, but that was the extent of my week. Mo actually took today off, so he is currently at the dog shelter, and he is walking shelter dogs because he likes to do that a couple times a month. So I don't know if we will ever get a dog since we've lost Shamrock again. Part of me says yes, part of me says no, so I have no idea. So in the meantime, Mo goes and he walks the dogs there and gets his little dog fix. So that's good. And then I don't know what else is planned. We will see. All right, so that's it. I don't know if there's any stitchy fun stuff going on. I take it as it comes. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. As I mentioned before, you are important and you matter. So please take the time for yourself each and every day to do something to acknowledge your uniqueness and the fact that you do matter. You are super, super important. So remember that, please. And until next time, happy stitching.